Hey, Lee. Hi, Caesar. Hang on. I'm putting up some notices. Be right with you. Still snowing. No, it's snow quit, but it's so cold. There's snow all over the place. Hi, Tuna. How you doing, man? Eco, good to see you. There we go. Everything's all set. Oh. Hi, Tim. How are you? Looking like snow here in the gloomy old UK. Here, we've got we haven't had much snow this year at all, and we got about where we are, maybe 3, 4 inches or something like that. But then it turns, I mean, it's just super cold. We have solar panels on our roof, and usually the first day we have a problem. I mean, the first day we have a snow, the old snow falls right off, but we've had like really cold weather, and so our solar panels are still snowed in, not to mention our driveway. Um, we 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 can't we canceled our snowplow guy because one of the guys that worked for him used to tear up our driveway. So we had a new driveway put in, and my wife decreed no more snowplows. so we got so we're snowed in. Anyways, a perfect time to talk watches. Uh, I got on my new Roger de Buis right now. So I mean, who needs to go anywhere? Oh boy, it's cold in Oklahoma City. My pockets, oh my cookies froze. Oh, oh, your cockles. Okay. How about your brass monkeys? How they doing? Hi, Stuart. Oh man. So what's going on? Can you recommend relatively inexpensive chronometers? Chronometers. Boy, that's like a super good question. Relatively inexpensive one. Gee, trying to think. You know, I I appreciate chronometers, but I don't know, inexpensive ones without silicon. The silicon ones, just about all of them are chronometer rated, but for real He-Man watches, I don't know. I'm trying to think. Anybody got any ideas? That's a great question. There are two parts to it. One is relatively inexpensive, which makes it more difficult, and the other is chronometer. Think I don't know this, but this is chronometer rated because it has a Geneva seal, but I don't know if it falls under inexpensive or not. I wish it did. Hi, Chili Badger. How you doing? Yeah, Lee, it's good for keeping warm. Tuna. Tissot do a cheap chronometer model. No silicon either. Tuna, I was going to recommend the same thing. There are more really good, affordable Tussauds out there, and you got to look a little. But yeah, that's a great recommendation, Tuna. Hey, Goldfinger, how you doing? Oh, let's see what's going on in the watch world. Let me see. What is? I said there's been a big not brouhaha, but a lot of noise about the Vacheron Constantin 222, and sort of I always liked it, not because of anything about it per se, but it's a cool watch, but rather because it was sort of the precursor to one of my first luxury sports watch, the Overseas. And so I've always had a soft spot for 222s, no matter what they do with it. I think they put a new movement in it, didn't they? Didn't they change the movement from the old 222 to something that may actually have been made by Vacheron Constantin? I don't know. What do you guys think? Oh, I know something we can talk about. Maybe not. That's the whole issue of in-house movements. A lot of people have been going on, oh, I hate the term in-house and blah, 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 and all of that. And my feeling about in-house movement has always been if a watch company has in-house movements, that's sort of a sign that they really committed. They have a commitment to fine horology. On the other hand, though, I've seen some in-house movements that look more like outhouse movements. They weren't that good. And I thought, well, you have these companies like Hermes and who are using really good movements. And I think rather than in-house or not in-house, we probably ought to focus on simply quality movements. I don't know. What do you guys think? Is Omega overrated? That's a good question, Stuart. I mean, like there are more nuances to that than meets the eye. Okay. I was watching a movie the other day with my wife about the publicity that went before the marketing and everything that went before the first manned moon landing, and how this one marketer got involved in putting all of these different things up as, to advertise. Tang, for example, and of course, Omega was one of them. And I've always liked the Omega Moon Watch. I mean, I always thought that was very special. And again, this is way before they were putting silicon in them. And I've always liked the Seamaster too. But they're probably good watches, but I think they sort of, I think Swatch, when Swatch goes in there, they do something that they say, okay, so they want to have their level playing field, I guess you could call it, and so they level it out, and sometimes they bring it down to the lowest common denominator, which I don't know. I have no interest in getting anything other than an Omega with the original, 318 movement or whatever they had in there. If I got one, but I'm not, not because there's anything wrong with it, but rather because I'm just not into that kind of watch. Yeah, Lee, that's the same way. As long as you got a quality one. In fact, there's some quality ETA movements. The ETA that's inside of my Chaumet Dandy Arty, along with those two Agonese gears, that thing keeps perfect time, and it can be left alone for a long time. And I wind it up and keeps perfect time. So yeah, I think a good movement is a good movement, and some brands spend more time on them and pay more attention to them, and this is why you have once, who was the Letter had his watch regulated by 3 different observatories. I mean, like, to test out the COSC. When I say COSC, I really mean the chronometer standards. The watches that have the quality Fluier, the ones like this one that have the Geneva seal and some other ones, those are automatically chronometer. So is Rolex. All of Rolex's, at least they claim they're all chronometer rated, and I believe them. So there are a lot of different ones, but I think Tuna has the right one. You know, if you want to get a nice chronometer watch, check out Tissot. I think that would be my recommendation too. So anyway, Stuart, I don't know if you whether it's overrated or not. I think it depends on what you want. You know, to me, it doesn't have a whole lot right now that's very collectible, other than the original Moonwatch. The other things are they're well built watches, though. At least as far as I can tell. Um, I say the same thing about Rolex. They're well built watches. They do a good job on that. I just don't find a whole lot of them super interesting. Anyway, hey, Watch Nicholas, how you doing? Tuna, I wonder if the Swatch Group is a blessing or a curse for various brands that they control. You know, Tuna, they could be a blessing for the ones that were about to go out of business, but I don't know. I mean, it's the same thing with Richemont. Richemont uh, created Val Fleurier so that brands like Baume and Mercier could have their own, quote, in-house movement. And what they did, they put a Cartier movement in, a very good Cartier movement in, I might add. They did the same, and they're using the same movement that go into Vacheron Constantin 56s. Vacheron Constantin, fixes them up and everything according to Vacheron Constantin, but they're basically the basic watch. I mean, movement is made at Val Fleurier. Yeah, how do you guys feel about that? I mean, is that companies like, I mean, Swatch has got their own movement, so to speak, in the form of ETA. They own ETA movements and stuff, and they don't let anybody outside of Swatch have them. And so, why were they popular in the first place? Well, they were pretty good movements, or they were copies of good movements that they bought, like Valjoux and Peugeot and some of the other ones that they, what is the 6498? What was the brand before it became ETA? Anyway, those are the ones that, I mean, so you don't have a lot of awful ones on that. But anyway, so what do you guys think? What do you think about having the whole thing about in-house movements can indeed have teething problems? Yeah. Takes time with incremental improvements to finally get an available, accurate movement. Yeah, that's true. It's true. But I tell you, when you take these top guys like Gerbel, Forcé, and some of these young guys, they turn out one every now and then. And then there's something else too that you have. You have a lot of good base movements, and by base movements, I mean the ones that have figured out all of the, for the timing of the hour, the relative size of the barrel, and all of that. And then they use that base with putting different things in the movement to make it a different movement. So with a good base, there can be a lot of different movements, and as you say, that over time they can make little improvements to it. Breguet, Watch, Nicholas, they have freedom. Why in the world would they put a silicone hairspring in a tradition then? If they want to make a watch that looks like something that Abraham Louis Breguet cobbled together in his little atelier on the bridge over the Seine, why would they do that? I mean, why would Breguet sort of go along with it? Because most of the classic Breguet watches, classique, those were originally designed by Daniel Roth, and I think somebody else that when the Chronometer brothers took over Breguet to save it, literally, because other than a couple watches that Breguet had under some kind of military contract, they didn't have anything that looked like the original Breguet in terms of quality. And Roth and some of these other guys, they brought that all back. Now, I don't think Swatch has that in mind, even though I wish they did. Same thing with, I was told when I was told by a guy at Harry Winston, once Harry Winston was bought by Swatch, I was told that all of the movements now in the Harry Winston watches are going to be blank pawn. And the blank pawn watches blank pawn movements are essentially Frederic Breguet, but God knows what they are now. So how did I learn so much about watches? It wasn't work. It's just interest. If you're interested in something, you spend time learning about it. That's because it's fun. If you have to work at learning about anything about watches, it's not a hobby. It's a job. And it's just fun. There's all kinds of stuff. And let me show you. I got one thing I also, book. One of the books that a lot of people haven't paid much attention to, that's also by George Daniels, is called The Art of Breguet. And the first part of the book is sort of for collectors. And what they have is they have a bunch of pictures of different actual Breguet made watches. And so if somebody thinking about, getting a Breguet watches, then they can look at this and they can find out all about it. And then the second part is about, the second part is about different kinds of movements and stuff that Breguet did. This is an escapement and the what we call a pallet fork. I don't see any pallets here, but and then the other one, the different types of escapement. That's interesting stuff, and it's fun to find out about. And so it's not a matter of like I'm going out and doing some serious research and hire an anthropologist to look stuff up for me. Anyway, that's just so you do stuff that way. Hey, Caesar, what are you up to? How do you see Chopek and Horological, and will they survive long term? Boy, that's a great question, Caesar. It's a hard one too, because I really do like Chopek. I know their U.S. Rep. He lives a couple miles from me, and we have coffee every now and then. And the movements they use, I'm trying to think. They used a Chronometer movement, I think, in one of their watches, and they make nice watches. But whether they'll survive or not, it's hard to say. Are they having problems or anything? If I'm talking to a rep's not going to say, "Oh, they're having problems." He's going to say, "Oh, they're great. They got the newest thing." And if I were a rep, that's what I would say anyway. Caesar, there are good movements and bad movements. Couldn't care less if in-house or not. Yeah, ask Simon Bett why it's not in-house. Yeah. Your talent. The thing I like about, I'll say this: independent movements that they make. One of the things they pay attention to are interesting things for constant force. And of course, one thing at constant force, you can always claim, well, we're very precise on everything we do, and that's how come we have constant force. Okay, and that's true. On the other hand, if you put in something like a Remontoir Egalité, or you put in something like double barrels in parallel, something to keep the force constant, to keep the time constant, to make it interesting horologically. Yeah. Hey, Von Krul, what are you up to? I got to head out to ship a Zelos bronze bracelet to its new owner. I got all my money back on it, which is nice. Zelos is good that way. Hey, that's always great to hear about getting good service from a watch company. I know a lot of people have words about it. The watches I've sent out for service, I've been very fortunate. The very best was Chanel, uh, FP Journe. They've been excellent. They take a while, but they do it right, and there's no trying to rush it through to meet something. Parmigiani, I sent a watch down to Parmigiani, and it came back like new. So I've had great experience. There was a watchmaker in a couple of watchmakers in the area. They both are gone now, either quit or died or something. But my experience with them was good too. No, I wish I could say, hey, watch out for these guys because they'll screw you, but I don't know of any that would. Hey, Hater, good to see you. Brandon, it's early out there. Good morning to you too. Oh, hey, thanks. My new Roger Dubuis. This watch is a fun watch to have. I really like it. When you're keen, you naturally accumulate knowledge over time. Yeah, you're right. And by that, I think by keen, you mean if you're really interested in something. I agree. Yeah, it's like, isn't that what hobbies are about? I had this friend, talk about hobbies. He and his he and his wife used to go prospecting for gold, and there was a group of people they hung out with, and they all went looking for gold. And I guess they built their own sluices or took their own pans and everything else. I don't think they ever got rich, but they sure had a good time. And boy, did the guy know all about gold and it was really, to them it was a fascinating hobby, and the payoff, they get a little gold here and there. I think that's sort of cool. Any hobby that you can, you get into and it's sort of like not spending time. Uh, Fernando and I, my friend, we got we spend an inordinate amount of time back and forth talking about watches, either in person or over WhatsApp, something like that. And some other people too that I end up yakking about with all the time, much as to my wife's chagrin, but that's we all live with that. Or if for women hobbyists, their husband's chagrin. Hey, Abdul, how you doing? Just finished work. Oh, good. Great time for a snack and chat. Excellent dress watches offered by Blank Pond. Hardly get promoted by Swatch. Blank Pond is another one. I mean, the same question that you had about Chopek, I would have about Blanc Pond. How they going to be doing okay? See, they came in when Blank Pond was bought by Swatch. They were actually owned by Frederick Piguet, the movement people. And somehow Swatch bought both of them, which meant they were probably needed money or were in trouble or something. So once they bought them, then they said, okay, they changed the name of Frederick Piguet to Blank Pond Movements or something like that. and that was before they started stuffing silicon in them. But that was sort of a lot of interesting things going on with them. But I don't know. It same thing with I tell you one of the things, and it's still available. I don't know why more people don't pick up on the the sort of pre-Swatch Harry Winston's. Harry Winston hired nothing but really excellent watchmakers, and I don't think there were no cheap movements. The Girard-Perregaux was one of the movements, but I think they also used Jaeger-LeCoultre and some other ones, and I know that they hired Jean-Marc Viderec and Roger Dubuis, and I don't know who else, but if you look at those, you can find some great ones. Then when they came out with the Opus, my God, the first Opus line that Harry Winston came out with, they F.P. Journe did a version of his resonance watch that was a Harry Winston label. That watch, I think, is worth like about $1 million now. But it was, just really, they had all of these amazing things. And that's why, when they have some watches, some retrogrades, and perpetual calendars. The perpetual calendars and retrogrades were done by Viderec and Dubuis. Hey, Goldfinger, what's up? Oh, hey, Killer. Hi, John. I would like a collection based on country of origin. Ever seen this? Based on a country of origin. No, that's another nice thing about it. You can collect watches any way you want to. If you want to do it on country of origin, Japan and China and France and Switzerland and Germany and Austria and Spain. Get an Ophion from Spain. There are a lot of really cool ways to collect watches, and I think that's as good as any. Brian, good to see you. Hi, Captain Zed. Let's see. Daniel Roth and Roger Dubuis are very intriguing to me. Speaking of what, this is my dilemma, okay? I've got these two Daniel Roth watches. Both I love very much. This one is their Premier Retrograde, I think is what they call it. And this one is their Metropolitan. Okay. So I got these two. But then there's this other one that I really, really want by Daniel Roth, and that is the Breguet that he did. I think it's, I don't know, 3110 or something like that. And I want to get that one too. So I might have to sell these. I don't know. I got, let me see if I can hang on a second. This is my, oops, hang on a second. Okay, doke. If I hope I don't screw things up. Hang on, I'm going to try a share screen, a window. See, this is the EXO, sort of a double, what do they call it? It's some geometric term. I can't remember the name of it. It's something. Anyway, the shape was very characteristic of Daniel Roth. And the other thing about this watch that I really liked is the retrograde. I don't know what it is about retrograde. This has got retrograde hours, and it's really funny. As soon as it hits 6, it goes back to the other 6, so you can see the 6-hour coming, and then it's got a hand date. Hand dates, I don't know why I like hand dates so much. They're so much easier than the uh, those little windows and stuff. So I can look at it. What's today? It's the 21st. I either like hand dates or no dates. Anyway, so what do you do with something like that? And that's sort of the problem was that, hey, these are watches I really like, but I can't afford to have these two and the other one that I want. So I don't know what I'm gonna do. Anybody got any ideas? I'm all ears. Um, Hang on a second. This is the other one. This one I think is, hang on, get it working. This one, the one thing I like about this has got my Metropolitan. My Metropolitan, the interesting thing is not so much that you have someplace at exactly 12 hours difference. Like if I set it to New York, it's on New York time, it's the same time 12 hours later in Bangkok. That's nice. But what is really cool about this watch, see this little pusher down here will set your top and bottom. If I live in Bangkok, it'll be at the top. And if I live in the New York time zone, it's on the bottom. But right here, I don't know if you guys can see this or not. Hang on a second. Let me see here. Here we go. See this little W right here and this S right here? This is one of the things, the only watch that I know of that has the spring ahead in the spring, and in the winter you fall back. I mean, in the fall you fall back, and in the spring you spring ahead. What this thing does is that there's a little pin pusher off to the side here, and when it's time to change to one or the other, you push that pin pusher and it jumps either forward or backwards. So, little things like that. And why would I ever want to get rid of a watch like that? Well, why would I want to get rid of any of my watches? It's one of those dilemmas, I think, that we all have to deal with. But boy, I tell you, I'd really like to get that the one by Daniel Roth, the Breguet. Okay, enough of that. You guys, I'm sure some of you run into the same dilemma, so I might have to say goodbye to those watches so I can get the other one. Hi, HRM. There is an interesting Farve Luba Colin watch on C24. Solid 18 karat and hides a tiny manual wine watch. Inside is a $20 coin. Rolex used the exact movement and case manufacturer. Oh, how cool is that? That really, thanks, HRM. That sounds very cool. Yeah, old Bill and the big boy watches. There you go. Double ellipse. That's it, Brian. I was trying to think of. There's a double ellipse, but there's another one too. Exolipse or something weird like that. But thank you. Double ellipse was the one I was trying to remember. I am a non-date type of person, especially in dress watches. Yeah, the date. I probably don't need watches. I don't know the date. Usually they have a little window, and I could care less, except for the ones at 4:30. I like the ones that they put at 4:30 because nothing else is going on at 4:30, and except for your date window. This one has no date at all, and the thing, the only thing about a secondhand is tells me the watch is, is working all right. Hey, killer, I could debate myself into it's not me I'm debating, if you know what I mean. It's I don't there's there's only certain things I'll do. Yeah, no, they got nothing but nice traveling watches on these. HRM, the pin pushers are called correctors. Okay, that's cool. That's even sounds there's something very James Bond about it, you know. I'll push my collector and get Schmersh or whoever the bad guys are these days in James Bond movies. Hey Lee, the rules this rules me out. I travel like the Beverly Hillbillies. Don't be talking about Oklahoma again. Traveling like the Beverly Hillbillies is in Oklahoma. Some people think that's bragging. Hey, hater, don't know about the winter summer time function. Quite genius. Yeah, I know. It's those little things, it was like when I got the watch, I simply wanted a Daniel Roth watch with a double ellipse that shape that I really like the shape. But then I saw it, and then it had. I thought it was funny that it would have the 12 hours opposite, but that's turned out to be very cool when I'm trying to set something up with a video talk or some kind of thing like that. I always know, well, if I'm going to talk to guys in China, because they're on the same time zone. By the way, the interesting thing is about China from all the way east to all the way west, they've got the same time zone. They just have one big time zone. That, you know, it'd be noon in New York and people in California barely getting up. That would be a little difficult. Ellipsocurvex. See why I couldn't remember it, Brian? Ellipsocurvex. There'll be a quiz tomorrow, and anybody who can remember Ellipsocurvex wins nothing except a good memory. Captain Z, I recently picked up a JLC master compressor. Oh my God, those are fantastic watches. Oh Jesus. Yes, those are great watches. Yes, yes, yes. Mm-mm-mm-mm. Yes, my God. I don't know if the one you got cost a fortune, but the ones that I've seen advertised do. What a watch. Hey, Fernando. Oh, man. The Ellipsocurvex Papillon has a neat jumping hour function. Yeah, that's another neat one, too. There's so many watches I can't afford. Killer. Whoa. Geez, that's a great price, Captain Zed. I've been looking at for a world timer. I don't like chronographs, though. That's my problem. A chronometer, yeah, but a chronograph and a world time, doggone it. But that watch is really something. Search Chrono 24. Come on. I'm already trying to get this Daniel Roth Brigade, and you're telling me another one. See, this is our dilemma. I don't know, maybe there's some saints among us. I'm not one of them who could say, "Oh, I'm not going to get any more watches." Oh, and there are so many watches that I want and I can afford, but I'm trying to work against my addiction. your unboxing don't help. But I tell you, the hobby doesn't help. I mean, I said, "Oh boy, I'm gonna go find out about this watch." The more I find out about it, holy smoke, that's a wow, what a wonderful watch. Oh, that was my first wife's nickname. She was very curvaceous. Don't tell your current wife that. We got you gotta keep 'em you gotta keep track of everybody, Brian. You're gonna get you can join me in the rolling pin club. France has 12 time zones if you include the colonies. That's I didn't know they had any colonies left. Um, that's cool, I guess. I suppose the US has I don't know if places like Guam and American Samoa are colonies, are they or what they are, but that's an interesting thing. Denmark has Greenland. Hang on to Greenland, Denmark. Don't let anybody try to take it away from you. Ugh. For a world timer, Frederick Constant makes a nice one. Keller, years ago, I was at a conference and somehow I ended up hanging out with, they were sort of shutting things down, and I was sitting down and happened to be with the Frederick Constant guys. And he was showing me some watches, and my God, those are well made watches. I had a real, I guess you'd call it a prejudice among many that I have, like silica hairspray. But my big prejudice against Frederick Constant wasn't anything about the horology, but rather was the fact that I got put off, but they use gold plating. I just didn't like that at all. And so I sort of was, but once I tried one of their watches, they make really good watches, and for the money, they're very hard to beat. But you're right; that's not a bad recommendation at all. JLC collecting is a rabbit hole in itself. you know, you know, we'll see you, Captain Zed, down the rabbit hole. God, I tell you, there's so many rabbit holes. Hey, Tuna. FC offers some surprising choices. They are, yeah, they're they started there was a Dutch couple uh who moved to Switzerland and started Frederick Constant. And I know they're not pronounced that way, but I'll say it that way anyway. Hey, Junior, how you doing? Picked up an Eberhard Travel Pro, 8 days for my cousin's 50th birthday, only €900, and was serviced. And service uses a highly modified ETA 7001 with massive 155 centimeter long mainspring. You know something about the Eberhard, and I think it was 2017. This friend of mine up in Massachusetts, who I think he moved to Canada, but he was this German watchmaker, and he was telling me about he was one of the jurors uh, on the jury that decided that Eberhard, what was it called? I forgot the name of the watch. It was a 27 winner of the sports watch, and it was I forgot what the name of it was, but it was by Eberhard. And I asked him because there was this Ulysse Nardin at like 150,000 euro, and there was some other ones that were really very expensive and really something. And I asked, I said, "How did that" thing was like 2,000 Swiss francs or something like that for the Eberhard. And he said, he said, "We looked at it and the Eberhard did everything these other ones did and did it quite well. And so that's why they won the sports prize." He was asked, he wasn't a judge after that, but I thought, oh, that was sort of an interesting decision they made. Of course, the guy from Eberhard was wonderfully grateful about the whole thing. What do you think of these watches? Paul Picot, Immerdingo, Zinga, David German. Now those are fashion watches that have God knows what in them. Okay, Lee. There are other fashion watches, but see, they give other fashion names a bad name. Um, my Hermes, I don't have Hermes. Other people's Hermes that has a Vaucher movement. My Fabergé. Fabergé is a fashion, luxury brand, but it has a Frederic Piguet movement in it. And so, same thing with my Chanel. Chanel's got a movement in part designed by Roman Gauthier. And so I think there's a big split between, I guess, those brands uh, and ones that really care about horology. But that's a good point, though, Lee. I hate to bring up, and it's like they're a lot cheaper too, I might add. Hey, Dr. Seuss 311, thoughts on Jacques Droz? Oh boy, that's another rough one. My friend Fernando has a Jacques Droz with a Jacques 736. Well, the Jacques 736 is not related to Jacques Droz at all. Speaking of trivia, I love it when people mention Jacques Droz. I think it was like in 1783, Jacques Droz, the original Jacques Droz, who made his fortune in the imperial courts of China, married uh, a woman named Marianne Sandoz, whose father ran I think he had some kind of watch. I think he made some kind of parts for a watch or something like that. This is in 1780 something. So here you have Jacques Droz coming together with Marianne Sandoz. Today, the Sandoz Family Foundation owns Vaucher, Parmigiani, all of this whole vertical line of watchmaking stuff. So to me, it's always interesting. But their watches, I just don't know. Love the design. And one of the things they're famous for is where you see a Jacques Droz, a lot of them have the figure eight in it. And they started doing that because for the Chinese, it was like a lucky number. Same way in the West, number seven's a lucky number, and so forth. But I like the designs, but they're not too sure about the movements, and I think they're owned by Swatch now. So it's sort of a hard call. If I were going to get a Jacques Droz, I would check and see what the movement is because, like I said, I just don't know, but I do like the looks of them. The history is fascinating. That's about all I can say. Sorry, Dr. Seuss. By the way, you want another trivia story? Dr. Seuss, I had a little publishing company in San Diego where Ted Geisel, who is Dr. Seuss, and I hired one of his editors to do some editing on a book on algorithms I was publishing. So that was my connection with Dr. Seuss. Trivia, I live in this stuff. Abdul, we just started the Lyrique 4 initial round and have some funds left to get the hand. No, you don't, Abdul. No, you don't. That's funny. Oh, Paul Picot has some interesting pieces. There used to be La Mania. Yeah, that's the old Paul Picot. Yeah, and you're right. But I think the new ones are not so much that. But I'm glad you brought that up. I'll take another look at them. Paul Picot was one of those ones that I thought was one thing and they were something else. But I didn't realize they were using Lamania movements. Thank you. Longines L990. It's probably which was connected to ETA. Maybe that's where I got the bad uh, feeling about it. Hi, Junior. If you can't decide and are just lost on what to do and what all that money, yeah, you could always make a decision. Donation to the Hater Needs Money for Watches Fund. I agree with that. I think we all should do that. It's sort of like the LA fires, sending donations to the fire victims and haters watch fund. Of course, the watch fund has priority. Oh, HRNC. Louis Vuitton just released a new line of watches. Should be interesting. Yeah. The thing about LVMH is the La Fabrique du Temps that they have. And the guys who are the main designers in that are really amazing people. I mean, they're really top designers. I've been sort of waiting for that one. I'm not crazy about Defy Labs, to tell you the truth, which is also owned by LVMH as part of Zenith watches. The reason I'm not crazy about them, they seem to think that the best way to make better watches is jack up the rate, and so they're up there 5 hertz and stuff like. You're not going to catch quartz. Okay, what else is going on? Eberhardt's scaffold graph. That's the one. 300. 2016. Was it 2016 then? Yeah, sorry. I was off a year on that. Thanks, Brian. Until the end of Q1 25. Okay. I I will, how do you resist if something really good comes along and you say, boy, I tell you, if I get that now, otherwise, if I don't get it, maybe Abdul will get it and then I can't have it. I don't know. I know that Abdul doesn't have any more sense than I do when it comes to buying watches, and he may buy the same ones that I want to get. Oh, geez. What a great hobby. I tell you that one of the most unusual things, and Fernando and I have talked about this, is that thinking financially in terms of watch prices is so different than thinking about anything else that you have. I mean, we put up a portico in front of the house, and that cost, I forgot what. We put it in a new driveway, and I thought, man, those are really expensive. And but in the watch world, you got a good deal. It's crazy. There's sort of these different realities that we have. No, the Longines L990 was Longines, their last fully in-house. Okay, design and manufacture. It was high-end, even used by Parmigiani in their first generation Toric. Oh, wow. Wow, wow, wow. That's really something. You know, HRM, wasn't their first generation Toric called the Ionic? Maybe that's what it was in. Anyway, that's really interesting to know. My Longines was from 1989, and that thing runs so well that it just, I don't know what kind of movements in it, but it's probably, one of their, whatever it is, it does the equation of time, and it's got sun up, sun down, and it's got the tilt of the earth and all of this other stuff that they had for that watch. I don't know whether that's a typical Longines or not, but man, what a great watch. Bind resistance is very low. I just need a nudge. It's I think we stand on the edge of a cliff So so I dare you to jump. Doesn't take much. Yahoo! Hey, Junior, my next watch is going to be a moon phase. Ooh, you know, what kind of moon phase? I sold my, Kristen Vanderclaw, moon phase, Cirrus 74, I think is the name of it, or is it Cirrus 94? One of the 2. Love that watch, beautiful watch, and, the I'm trying to think why I sold it. I forgot why I sold it, but I did. But that had a really interesting, moon phase on it, and it worked quite well. It was difficult to set the moon phase, and that was the only downside of it. The new one I got that double moon phase that, with northern and southern hemisphere that Parmigiani had. Now, this is one they quit making, and at some point, the price just dropped really low, and that's when I grabbed one. So that may be something that you might wanna look at, but there are a lot of different moon phases. Who's that guy that makes a really interesting moon phase? I think he's from Finland, he's got this long name that starts with an S. Really, amazing, moon phase watches. Oh, yes. That watch hater, I saw that watch, and I thought, "My god, what an amazing watch." They only made, like, 25 of them or something, but I it's really a beautiful watch. That is yeah, that's really something. Mm. Oh, Sepneva, Brandon, that's exactly the one I was thinking of, and they have this the guy's got this incredible moon phase. There's one that's called I think he has called the Blood Moon, really cool stuff. Ooh, yeah, the Vacheron Constantin, Quadrille. Oh, yeah, yeah, no, that's another temptation I have. See, this is what happens, is that you get these really wonderful watches out there that you don't have yet. That but I got watches that I really like that I don't know, man, I'll tell you. Mm, and they keep great time. Thing is spot on with let's say they both have slightly different ways of telling time. Here in New York time is 12:06, and these guys are showing 12:06, 12:06 in a little different ways. And my new one does too. Um, Sapaneva moons, scare me a little. Yeah, they are scary. Longines has a great, moon phase and a stunning chestnut dial. You know, I'll tell you, I agree with, Killer on that one, Junior. Take a look at Longines. They're sort of like they seem to be luxury watches with but I think they're very much undervalued. That's my opinion. Yeah. Yeah, it's minus 9 degrees centigrade. Yeah, we're in a deep freeze. Boy, New England's been lucky this year. I was sort of rooting for global warming a bit there, but I guess it hurt me. You have to go to the supermarket. Are you taking the grocery money with you, Abdul? Be careful. You might have to eat Billy's goat. Oh, let's see. Ball also makes some very cool moon phase. Their pieces also have several cool innovations, like a cage around the hairspring and a locking regulator. No silicone either. The ball watches do they have a Faraday cage, HRM? Is that what they have? That was something that I liked in, the Faraday cage, and the what was it? I think it was Jaeger-LeCoultre had something like that. Anyway, guys, listen, I should be running along too. It's been over an hour, and my time limit is, so we'll see you guys next time. Everybody be safe, stay warm. For those of you on the southern hemisphere, stay cool. Take care, everyone.